NBC Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Second straight year, Bengals and Texans in a wild card matchup. The Bengals, the 6th seed, the Texans, the 3rd seed. And for more, we go down to the field. And Alex Flanagan. Alex.
Hey, Dan. Well, quarterback Matt Schaub with an awful lot to prove today. He had a good season, but he's really struggled down the stretch. He's been playing in the NFL for 9 years, yet today he is playing in his very first playoff game today. He tells me that he feels like over the last month he's been pressing, maybe thinking too much, at times afraid to make a mistake. Head coach Gary Kubiak says that really sums up the entire team's problem the last month. So Matt Schaub, Dan, tells me that his goal today is just to cut it loose.
So big-time pressure on Schaub and Gary Kubiak in his 7th season. He got the Texans to their first playoff berth last year, beating Cincinnati, and then losing in the second round to the Ravens. But Kubiak trying to get his team back on track. He says we have just not been ourselves the last month. In the meantime, Marvin Lewis's Bengals have been red hot. 7 wins in the last 8 games. Lewis in his 10th year, still winless though in the playoffs at 0-3 as the Bengals try to pick up their first playoff win of any kind in 22 years. And there is J.J. Watt, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and for a time was being touted as MVP. He's that kind of player. He's been that dominant all year long as Houston has won the toss. And they will receive. And so Matt Schaub won't have to wait long to get his first try. Josh Brown, who's had a great year here in place of the injured Mike Nugent. And it is Daniel Manning back deep. No stranger to kickoff returns. He led the NFL with nearly a 30-yard average for the Bears 4 years ago. And as Kubiak says, you don't protect any players. He's a starting safety, but here comes Manning out close to the 15-yard line, and that is where the Texans will start. Let's meet the Houston offense.
Matt Schaub, Virginia.
Arian Foster, University of Tennessee.
James Casey, Rice University.
Andre Johnson, the U.
Kevin Walter, Eastern Michigan.
Owen Daniels, on Wisconsin.
Dwayne Brown, Virginia Tech. Wade Smith, the University of Memphis.
Chris Myers, Miami Palmetto Middle School.
Ben Jones, Georgia.
Derek Newton, Arkansas State.
So Arian Foster in the backfield for Schaub, who's playing his 119th game in the NFL, but first in the playoffs. And the play action is to Foster, and rolling right is Schaub, who gets out of bounds for a decent game as Robert gathers up there on that talented Bengal defensive line, chased him out.
And Dan, I really kind of like what Alex said in the pregame show as far as Schaub having to cut it loose. And you could say the same thing about Andy Dalton. I think both of them kind of limped into the playoffs, and both of them I felt were indecisive. The quarterback that's able to let it rip, I think, has a big advantage today.
All Schaub was able to get was a yard, and again, that running game for the Texans so important to set up that play action for Schaub. That has been absent for the most part of the end of the season, and here's Foster, not much there at all. In fact, he lost a few. Reggie Nelson in there to drop him for a 4-yard loss.
You know, Domata Peko, the nose tackle, 94, easy to find with all that hair. What a nice job he does. Reading screen, fights off Myers, gets through Dwayne Brown, forces the ball carrier back inside where Nelson cleans it up.
This is one of the hottest defenses in the league. They have given up an average of 11.9 points a game in the last 8 games of the season. Schaub works out of the shotgun here on 3rd and long, just the kind of situation that they've been in that they don't want to be in, that has plagued them the last portion of the season. Schaub in the air. That's complete at the 20 to Owen Daniels, but he's well short of the first down. Good gain of 8, but that will bring up 4th down in the punt unit for Houston.
Yeah, that's a win for the Cincinnati defense right there. And Dan, the comment you just made, this team is best when Matt Schaub is under center, running the football, play action. They're not a shotgun 3rd and 12 team. That's just not who they are, and that's what they've done the whole last month of the season.
There's Adam Jones back deep to receive the Donnie Jones punt. Chance for Some pretty good field position on their opening drive as Jones lets it roll, tries to reverse his field, and then is brought down short of the 40. 42-yard punt brought down by Alan Ball as we meet the Cincinnati offense.
Andy Dalton, TCU.
Gonzalez Green Ellis, the Law Firm, Ole Miss.
KJ Green, University of Georgia.
Marvin Jones, Cal Berkeley.
Jermaine Gresham, the University of Oklahoma.
Orson Charles from the University of Georgia.
Andrew Whitworth, LSU.
Tom Bowen, Georgia.
Kyle Cook, Michigan State. Kevin Zeitler, Wisconsin.
Andre Smith, Rose High.
So as Dalton sets up at the 38, he's got a key player back, and that is Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, who gets the call. J.J. Watt doesn't waste any time making his presence known.
Yeah, guess who? All he did right there is bench press the right tackle, Andre Smith, and use his quickness to win back inside. Here he is right here. Run game, pass game, it doesn't matter. Watt, one of the quickest people you'll see.
Green Ellis, who had to sit out last week's game as he tweaked a hamstring, had a career year in rushing over 1,000 yards, and on 2nd and 8, Dalton, who played his high school football just about a half hour away in Katy, Texas, with his first pass, and it's in and out of the arms of Jermaine Gresham, the tight end.
Got to catch that football. It's a hot read. Gresham's just going to look right away. He does everything right except catch the football. Dalton put him right on it. That was a blitz by Houston and an opportunity to make a play for Gresham. And Dan, you can't let those operate. I know it's early in the game, but Jermaine Gresham's your second best receiver. You got to catch the football.
So the 70,000 plus pumping up their defense on 3rd and 8. Dalton's pass is bounced off of Gresham. 4th down, and Cincinnati will be forced to punt in his first possession.
Yeah, I think one of the most underrated players in the league is Glover Quinn. You're going to see him right here in their dime package. He's got the tight end, contacts him, comes underneath, drives through the shoulder pad to the football. That's a good play by a very aggressive defensive back, Glover Quinn.
So the Bengals were able to move the ball 2 yards, and this is Kevin Huber to punt for Cincinnati, and Keeper Hole gets it to the 10, and that is it. A flag is thrown at the 7. 53-yard punt by Huber, and just a 3-yard return by Martin.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 48 on the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down, timeout.
Penalties just killed the Texans down the stretch when they lost 3 out of 4. Early here at Reliance Stadium, no score. Exactly a stellar day outside of Reliance Stadium. Cold, rainy, but the Texans here starting for the 2nd time. The first time at their 15th, this time backed up at their own 4. On the ground, it's Foster looking for some room. A couple. It'll bring up 2nd down and 8 or 7. And so we're getting an early look here to see if Houston can generate some kind of running game here, and that's the guy you start with right there.
Yeah, I enjoy talking to him. He still has a little bit of chip on his shoulder from being undrafted in 09, and I think it drives him to become a better football player. Going back to the Pro Bowl this year, he's one of the top 4 or 5 players in this league at tailback and might be the best pure zone runner in the league.
Signed a new contract, undrafted. 23 running backs were taken before Foster in the NFL draft, and this pass is complete to Daniels in the clear for a 1st down. Reggie Nelson brought him down, but not before a gain of 17.
Yeah, he got underneath Maluga. Maluga's got to get this thing walled off. See, Maluga goes over the top. Daniels comes underneath it. That's too easy. The first thing Ray Maluga has to take away is that crossing route, and coaches call it walling it off. Don't let him get to the other side in the cross.
The 2 mainstays receiver-wise for Schaub, Johnson, and Daniels. Here's the toss to Foster, and there is Arian Foster for another 1st down across the 40. And this is the kind of Houston offense that the fans were used to seeing when they went 11-1.
Dwayne Brown's going to a Pro Bowl for a reason. They're going to pull him out. Look at him get to the second level and just envelop his defender. And again, the cut up into the hole. And Owen Daniels, who's not a great blocker at the point of attack, but if you get him on the move on a defensive back like Leon Hall, he can at least wall him off and let Foster get up inside.
Foster with another sensational year, more than 1,400 yards on the ground, 15 rushing touchdowns. That is Daniels in motion, who leads Foster into the line and across the 45-yard line as we meet the Bengal defense.
Robert Gathers, Georgia.
Domata Peko, Michigan State University. Gino Ekin, all about the G, go Dogs.
Mike Johnson, Georgia Tech. Manny Lawson, Eastern Wayne High School.
Ray Maulunga, the University of Southern California.
Vontaze Burfict, Arizona State.
Terrence Newman, Kansas State University.
Reggie Nelson, University of Florida.
Nate Clements, The Ohio State University.
Leon Hall, Michigan.
This is a Bengal defense, in the words of its coordinator, Mike Zimmer, is playing pretty salty right now. But Houston has them on their back here as they go around to Keyshawn Martin, and he's got the first down. Gain of 15 by Martin as the Texan offense is really rolling.
Yeah, Michael Johnson, the defensive end, flow goes away, and everybody goes with him. Great play call, Keyshawn Martin. It's a space player. They find creative ways to get him the football. You saw 93 turn and run. There's got to be discipline on the backside of this zone offense. Really good play call by Rick Dennison.
This drive started at their own 40 at the Bengal 38 and shot to the air. That ball is caught by Foster, trying to tightrope his way down the sidelines. But they've got him all the way back at the 30 where they marked him out.
Whenever you can get Foster man-to-man on a linebacker like Mauluga, it's a mismatch, and you'll see him go right there. Yeah, no doubt about it. I like the pace they're playing at right now. A couple of short passes, both victimizing Ray Mauluga.
The Texan offense has scored just one touchdown in the last two games. Ben Tate is in the backfield behind Schaub on 2nd and 2. And Tate grabs it, and he's going to be well short of the first down. Inside, just outside the 30 there. So the Bengal defense ready for Tate.
And that was Geno Atkins that time that just blew it up on the inside. But when you talk about this team, Matt Schaub, what has this drive been all about? He's been under center. They've run the football. They've gotten the ball out of his hands quickly. Nothing down the field. One reverse to Keyshawn Martin. This is who they are when they're most effective. When he's in shotgun on 3rd and 7+, that's not them.
3rd and short. Foster is back in. Play fake to Foster. Some pressure for Schaub, but he gets rid of it. And unable to hold on is Daniels, who had the first down, juggled it, but couldn't retain it.
Yeah, he's got to catch this football. And again, it's in between Mauluga and the rookie, Emmanuel Lemur. Crossing route. There he goes across the face of Mauluga again. No awareness by Lemur. This ball's got to be caught. I know you got to reach for it, but that's a first down.
Instead, it's going to be a field goal attempt here of 48 yards by Shane Graham, who has been very good. He's a former Bengal that actually is the all-time accuracy leader in Bengal history, but trying to get Houston out in front, and it had plenty of leg and just inside the upright. So Gary Kubiak and the Houston Texans on the board first. 3-0. 7:49 left in the first. Customize how you watch today's game. Wildcard Extra on NBCSports.com. Pick your own camera angles, create your own slow-mo replays, and chat all game long with Mike Flory of Pro Football Talk. Wildcard Extra on NBCSports.com. As J.J. Watt awaits another turn here. And Shane Graham, who just gave the Houston Texans a 3-0 1-yard line. And that is where Andy Dalton will begin again. Bengals trailing 3-0. AFC Wildcard Saturday on NBC. Well, if there was ever a home game feel on the road for Andy Dalton, it's right here at Reliance Stadium. We mentioned he played his high school football at nearby Katy High School, just about 30 miles due west of Houston. He has set aside 65 tickets for his family and friends and everybody who claims to have ever known Andy Dalton in the Houston area. So another big year for him as he tries to win for the first time, and this is Ben Jarvis. Green Ellis who gets loose for Dalton, and he's all the way to the 45-yard line before Glover Quinn brings him down, gain of 29 for Green Ellis, back in the lineup for the Bengals.
They're going to get a pull here, and then the fullback up in the hole. Nice job at the point of attack. And Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, we talk about both these teams, they're run-first teams. Their quarterbacks are better when you can protect them by running the football. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis has had that hamstring, looked pretty healthy there.
Green Ellis had just 400-yard games in 4 seasons with New England. He had that many in 5 games this year with the Bengals as Dalton avoids the pressure and gets out of bounds.
Kind of fun talking to Dalton yesterday a little bit. You mentioned that he's a local guy from Katy, Texas. He was 3-0 in this stadium, twice in high school. Played here. What did he tell us? He had the first touchdown pass for a high school player
ever in Reliant Stadium when he was a high school player there. He split time as the starter his junior year. Ended up being the starter his senior year. And then, of course, he went on to play his college ball at Texas Christian. But a good record for Dalton. In fact, he was unbeaten here at Reliant Stadium until last year's loss. 2nd and 7. That is just swallowed up by number 98, Connor Barwin. Loss of 6.
Yeah, he eyed this thing the whole time. Connor Barwin's eyeing the tailback. Marvin's taking a look at the replay too. Watch him eye it. He sees it right away. He shadows him. Effectively a man-to-man situation, and he blows it up.
So 3rd and long, ball at the 41. After Connor Barwin broke it up. Former basketball player at Cincinnati. He also played a little tight end for the football team as well. 3rd and 13 for Dalton. Feels the pressure and down he goes. Dalton, who was sacked 46 times this year, is met by Mr. Watt.
This is why he's so good. Watch him cross the face of the center. He comes across the guard, across the center. Leonard doesn't see him. Kyle Cook barely gets a hand on him, and Dalton says, hello.
J.J. Watt, who led the NFL with 20.5 sacks, picks up his first of this postseason. As Keyshawn Martin awaits at his 20 and gets it out to the 31-yard line for a return of 11, 47-yard punt. J.J. Watt with his first sack of Andy Dalton. It was a December to forget for the Houston Texans as they rolled out 11-1 in their first 12 games. Look at the number and the rankings in the NFL, and then they just hit the skids in the last 4 games, going 1-3.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind who they played those last 4 games. They had New England, they had Indy twice, and Minnesota. All 3 of those teams, playoff teams. So part of that explains the numbers.
The best field position to start this drive is to cross the 30. Schaub takes a deep drop, and he's got Owen Daniels on the sidelines. That'll bring up 2nd down. But we mentioned at the top how this whole city is just on edge, and the pressure that Gary Kubiak has felt to somehow, as he said, get his team's mojo back. And they have felt the heat, not only from the media here in Houston, but everybody around the league, trying to figure out what happened to this team that was on its way to the top seed and then blew 2 opportunities in the final 2 games that would have wrapped up home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So here they are on the wild card as Arian Foster. Not much at all there. Maualuga up front on the stop.
And I really think they lost some of their identity in those games. They played good teams. They got behind early. And when you get behind on the scoreboard or in the down and distance, Gary Kubiak told us the other day, he said, we ran shotgun more in the last 4 games than we did the first 12 of the season, and that's not our identity.
He told his team, disappointment is a part of life. Misery is not an option. There will be no misery around here. 3rd and 3. Schaub close to the first down as the ball is caught just across the 40 by Kevin Walter, the former Bengal.
It's good secure tackle by Leon Hall.
And that is a first down, just barely.
But Dan, they're more in their identity now. The first drive, they went bootleg. They ended up 3rd and 12. They had to punt. The second drive was more like the Houston Texans. And again here, when you see Matt Schaub in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, when he can throw the football with his back foot hitting, ball out, no pressure, that's when he's really good.
And again, the playoff debut for Schaub. Play action. Deep down the field, another first down as the ball is caught at the Bengal 40 by Andre Johnson, the 6-time Pro Bowler, with a gain of 19.
Boy, this opens up beautifully for the quarterback. Watch him go. Schaub looks up. Look at it open up. You've got the big alley to throw it in. And again, when you don't pressure Matt Schaub, when you don't hit him, when you don't get bodies on him, when the back foot hits and the ball comes out cleanly, he's very good. You got to beat up Matt Schaub if you want to win this football game.
Another huge year for Johnson, now in his 10th season. Schaub 7 of 8 for 58 yards in the early going here. As he hands it off to Foster, fights for a couple before he's shaken down there at about the 38. Geno Atkins a part of the Bengal defense to stop him. Let's send it down to Alex.
Well, Dan, you mentioned Andre Johnson, his first catch in this game. You know, a lot of people questioning early on in the season if Andre Johnson had lost a step, if he was getting too old in this league. What a lot of people didn't know is that he had his knee scoped twice, once right after the season last year and in the preseason. He said it took him some time to get back to playing. And Dan, of course, he went on to have a phenomenal second half of the season.
2nd and 8, Schaub steps up, incomplete, intended for Daniels, and we've got a flag that comes in right away.
This time Schaub gets some pressure. He steps up. Obviously,
the
rookie perfect
number
all
55
over him.
on the defense. The ball will be played to spot or foul. Automatic first down.
And that's who it's called on, Vontaze Burfict, who has been one of the great stories in the NFL this year. Free agent rookie signing out of Arizona State. A lot of people were wary of his character, didn't want to take a chance on him. They knew he had some talent, but he ends up having a great year, coming in for Thomas Howard, starting for him after Howard was injured. 1st and 10. Foster gets close to the 20, brought down by Robert Gathers after a gain of 5. But Burfict is, what a story he is, Mike.
Look, this kid was one of the most gifted high school players coming out 4 years ago. Played poorly his last year at Arizona State. 32 teams passed on him 7 times, and Marvin Lewis, the head coach, met with him in his pro day and told him he had to get his act together. And when the head coach of an NFL team takes personal interest in an undrafted rookie, it can make a difference.
2nd and 5. This is Foster looking for a hole close to the first down. Looks like he got it, and Burfict, who was all over the field in the final regular season last week, where he was credited for more than 20 tackles, brings down Foster. That'll bring up 3rd and short.
Understand this, Marvin Lewis is the guy that was the point man on the Burfict deal. They knew there was some talent there. They knew they had to get him in shape, first of all. He was out of shape as a senior. They got him in shape. They brought him into camp, and they handed him over to Mike Zimmer. And Mike Zimmer was like, I'm not sure I want this guy. I didn't like him on tape, and I thought he had some attitude. I'm not sure we need this guy. But on a daily basis, it was Mike Zimmer and his position coach, Paul Gunther. And those two guys on a daily basis, A, have made him into a heck of a football player, and B, as a human being, he's been nothing but pleasure in that building. So what do they get out of him, Dan? 16 starts, 174 tackles, which led the team, and now they've got a player for the next 7 to 10 years if he stays healthy and keeps his attitude where it's been. They've got a high-level, weak-side linebacker.
It's one of those finds that rarely come along, but when you do take a chance, like Marvin Lewis, and you fly down there and kind of put the chips on the table and spend some time, and it pays off like Burfict has, it's especially gratifying. They are short of the first down, 3rd and less than a yard.
Brandon Brooks is in at right guard. He's a 340-pound, massive brawler. Rookie out of Miami of Ohio.
In motion goes Foster to the near side, and Schaub is trying to get the first down. He's the only quarterback not to run for one first down in this season. So if he picks that up, it's a milestone for Schaub.
Keep in mind, last year he got hurt on a quarterback sneak.
But can you believe that? A guy that plays the whole year.
Look,
and we just saw him pick up his first down of the season.
I saw him play at Westchester East in high school outside of Philadelphia, and I knew he couldn't run back then. He could throw, but he couldn't run.
So that brings us to the end of the first quarter as Matt Schaub and the Houston Texans trying to add to their 3-0 lead. Marvin Lewis and the Bengals trying to pick up that elusive playoff win. Into the first quarter, Houston 3, Cincinnati 0. Gorgeous shot at downtown Houston. Aerial coverage tonight provided by Geico. Nearby Reliant Stadium, closed roof. Houston Texans looking to add to their 3-0 lead at the Bengal 12 with a 1st and 10, which is just secured by Schaub. The ball at the 17, 1st and 10 for Schaub. And the good is to Foster. He's got nowhere to go along the left side. Remember, Matt Schaub was wearing a headset last year. TJ Yates was the quarterback down the stretch for the regular season and the playoffs for the Houston Texans. And we talked to Schaub yesterday, Mike. He told us how much of an appreciation he gained as you look at Yates for just seeing how the whole orchestrated process comes together, listening on the headset to the coordinator, the plays come in. And he just said that he gained a whole another side of it from that perspective. Of course, he's happy to be back under the controls here and trying to win for Houston. And that ball complete to Garrett Graham.
You notice so far, Matt Schaub hasn't even been touched in the pass game. And if you're a Houston fan, that's what you want to see. Everything's been on time. They're running the ball effectively. This is the Houston we saw the first 12 weeks of the season. If you're a Cincinnati fan, you know your offense has not been explosive. And you need to hold them, worst case scenario, to a field goal on this possession.
On 3rd and 8, big Geno Atkins, who led the Bengals with 12.5 sacks. Trying to force the Texans to a field goal. That is short of the first down as it is complete to Walter. And that indeed will bring out the field goal unit for the Texans after a gain of 5. So a little bit of frustration there on Kubiak's face, having to go for another field goal.
I like what Schaub did here. You're going to get pressure from Geno Atkins. He steps up, eyes down the field. That's the key to it all. Keep the eyes. Watch him. Eyes down the field, snap it out. But it's a win for the Cincinnati defense, forcing the field goal.
Shane Graham made 45 straight field goals from 45 yards or closer. It's an amazing streak, which began when he kicked his final game for the Bengals in a wild card playoff game 3 years ago. So the 27-yarder there adds to the Houston lead. 6-0, 13:07 in the half. Fantasy season not over yet. You can play NFL Playoff Challenge where you can win a trip to Super Bowl 48 in 2014. Play today at NFL.com/fantasy. Houston Texans off of 2 field goals by Shane Graham with a 6-0 lead. But if you're Cincinnati, who really has been outplayed, time of possession, yards, you've got to be pretty happy so far, Mike.
As badly as Cincinnati has played so far, and let's face it, they got dominated the first quarter, 112 yards to 19. You're very fortunate if you're only down 6.
Adam Jones again takes it 5 yards deep from his own end zone, and Adam Jones across the 25 with a good return to about the 27.
Yeah, Brandon Harris doesn't make that tackle. Pac-Man might still be running. We got a 6-0 ball game.
J.J. Watt prowling the defensive line for the Houston Texans.
Cincinnati's had 7 offensive plays total in this game for 19 yards.
And that includes a 29-yard run by Green Ellis. Dalton is 1 for 3, -6 yards so far. As this drive begins at the 28 of Cincinnati. And here is Green Ellis, a nice hole for a first down. So just like that, Green Ellis bursts up the middle. Shiloh Ko on the stop after a gain of 12.
When we talk about J.J. Watt, it's pretty special. Now, that was a good run right there, and that's what Cincinnati has to get back to. Dalton's best when he gets the complement of the run game.
Fake to Green Ellis, rolling out to Gresham, and Gresham reaching that 6'5" frame across the 40. Daniel Manning there to bring him down.
That was pretty good. He was kind of like tickling the twine there at the end, trying to pick up some extra yards.
All he got him was a gain of 1, but gets to the 41.
You ever do the lawnmower?
or the wheelbarrow
right there,
with your
wheelbarrow,
man,
right there, the wheelbarrow. Look at him. All right, all that for 1 yard. 2nd and 9.
So another catch by Gresham, but very silent so far has been A.J. Green, number 18. There he is in motion on the bottom of your screen. Not a single catch by Green so far, as Dalton lays it out to Green Ellis, and the Houston Texans defense is there, led by Brady James. -3 on that pass play.
Yeah, Brady James does a phenomenal job of seeing this the whole time. James is right here.
Look at Watt coming up the middle, too.
Watt's flying up the middle. You want that on the screen, but nobody gets a piece of James. He steps inside the attempted block. Watt with the pressure. Brady James with a big tackle.
Look at the passing yards for the Bengals. -17, 3rd and 12. And Reliant Stadium wakes up again. Dalton has time, going way deep down the field, and that ball is picked off. That is Kareem Jackson, intended for Marvin Jones, but he never had a chance as Dalton threw it into double coverage. And Jackson picks it off for the first turnover of the game. All Houston so far. They already lead at 6-0. They'll have the ball again when we come back. The pass was incomplete. It is 4th and 12 now, so the Bengals in a punting situation.
Not sure how much it's going to change field position, to be honest with you.
And a fair catch is called for at the 12-yard line by Keyshawn Martin. Let's take another look at what appeared to be an interception by Kareem Jackson.
Clearly hits him 1 foot, 2 feet down.
Yep. Didn't have possession all the way down to the ground.
Got to have full possession, 2 feet down, make an element of time, which in slow motion is kind of distorted that way. I think it's a good call there. Now, if there's one criticism of Andy Dalton coming off his rookie year, it was his lack of consistency throwing the deep ball. That ball was thrown poorly into double coverage.
So virtually the same field position it'll be for Houston. At the 12, Foster gives the carry. Gain of a couple close to the 15-yard line before Carlos Dunlap, who was being worked on the sidelines a moment ago, brings him down.
And here's what we're talking about with Dalton on that throw. Now, he wants Marvin Jones, and I think he just predetermined. They got to go here, but there's double coverage. I think it's KO over top. He tries to split the two. Okay, there's separation there. If you're going to throw that route, it's got to be beyond the wide receiver. It's underthrown by a good 5 to 7 yards. That ball's got to come out earlier if you're going to throw that ball.
2nd and 7. Schaub, nothing doing over the middle of the field, so he swings it out to Foster close to the 20-yard line. As Terrence Newman makes the stop after a gain of 4.
Stop made by Newman.
Well, Dalton did not have a good game last year here at Reliant Stadium, Mike. He was sacked 4 times. He was intercepted 3 times.
You know, Dan, the interceptions don't bother me that much. One of them was that freakish play that changed the game by J.J. Watt at the end of the first half. The other 2 interceptions were Hail Marys in the 4th quarter when the game was out of reach. I was more disappointed in the lack of decisiveness. And again, he's got to rip it and pull the trigger.
Schaub trying to get a first down. Ball intercepted this time. Stepping right in front is Leon Hall, who is into the end zone for the touchdown.
Wow. That was a great play. He was in man coverage on James Casey, who was coming out of the backfield.
So just when you think Dalton made the huge interception mistake, which was not, Schaub with a poor decision here.
From behind, you can see Casey going to the flat. That's just phenomenal ball skills by Hall, undercutting the route. Look at that. That's beautiful. And comes through.
Another interception for Hall. He had a huge touchdown return against Pittsburgh.
Wow, it's got quiet in here, isn't it, Dan?
Josh Brown to all of a sudden give the Bengals the 7-6 lead. So what a turn of events. Schaub throws the pick. Hall steps into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game. 9:30 left in the half. Bengals with a lead. A tale of two seasons for them, just like the Texans, but a flip-flop. First 8 games, 3-5, and the 7-1 run to end it. The numbers really solid. Let's take another look at that pick that Schaub just threw.
Now Casey's going to come flat. Problem here is Schaub cannot make this throw versus man coverage, undercutting the route like that. I give Leon Hall a ton of credit, but this ball can't come out. Look at the coverage right here. It's either got to come out immediately or not at all. Great job jumping the route by Leon Hall. Ball skills, underrated aspect of being a defensive back. There's too many defensive backs in the league that can't catch. Leon Hall, former first rounder, paying off.
So Hall gives the Bengals a 7-6 lead, 4th straight game with a defensive touchdown, with a 20.
Dan, how would you like to dominate a football game, beat the other team up at the line of scrimmage, win every aspect of the game for a quarter and almost a half, and be trailing 7-6? Because that's what just happened on the strength of one play.
It's the kind of frustration that Kubiak and the Texans have been feeling down the stretch of the season. So Schaub will try it again here from the 20. 9:24 left in the opening half. A rematch of last year's wild card between the Bengals and the Texans, which the Texans won last year. And here's Foster. Good pursuit by the Bengals. They drive him out of bounds.
Hey, Dan, remember Domata Peko on the first screen of the game? Check him out again. You want to talk about an instinctive nose tackle. Gets up the field, feels and sees screen, gets off the block of the rookie Brooks, chases him down from behind, and lets his buddies make the play. That's as good as it gets from a nose tackle twice so far in the screen game.
Loss of 4. Peko kind of the unsung hero on that line with Atkins and Michael Johnson with all the sacks, but Peko's led the line in stops 4 of the last 5 years and is just a solid team leader. 2nd and 14. Foster looking for the first down, short of it, but a good gain for Arian Foster before he's finally brought down by Nate Clements after a gain of 13.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. This time they double team Peko. They're going to get Peko, but watch the cut in the hole by Foster. Boom, linebacker, make you miss. Mal Luga did not even get a hand on him. In flag football, he wins. Forget tackle football. In the flag football league, he wins.
Watching him on tape, Mike, he makes moves that a 6'1", 230-pound back usually can't make. On 3rd and 1, Foster with a first down and more, but that's one of the reasons why the Texans gave him a big contract extension, 40-something million, 5-year extension in March. And he's got the Texans on the move again.
I liked our conversation with Foster yesterday when I asked him in the zone scheme, what's most important? What do you do well that distinguishes you? And he said, at first it's about vision, and then it's about patience, because in the zone scheme you've got to wait for that hole to hit, and then you got to hit it hard.
Foster takes a break, and this is Ben Tate for a short gain. Foster, a 3-time Pro Bowler, and an interesting personality. Anybody you talk to that has spent time with Arian Foster mentions that. He'll talk poetry with you, tell you what books he's reading, tell you what he's interested in, politics. Interesting guy. Grew up humble beginnings.
And he had 391 touches this year, which for a running back, you want to talk about a tread on the tires, man, that's a lot of touches.
Andre Johnson in motion at the top. And Schaub looking back the other way. Ball is caught and another first down. This is Garrett Graham. Gain of 19. Mauluga finally brought him down.
Yeah, they're making a lot of hay on the underneath crossing routes here.
Offside, number 97 on the defense. A penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
On Geno Atkins, but declined, and Houston on the move again, all the way down to the Bengal 39. Mauluga slow in getting up. So we'll take a timeout here and be right back to Reliance Stadium. That line pretty much tells the story. Houston dominant everywhere there except the score, trailing 7-6.
Oh man, kind of what we expected. Low scoring, defensive game. Not many big plays. Mauluga on the side. They're looking at his left leg.
Dan Skuda, number 51, has come into the game as Mauluga was helped off. First down at 10 now for Schaub. Give to Foster. Gets some more yardage, and he's inside the 25. Nate Clements stopped him, but Foster with a gain of 15.
Dan, we talked about patience in the hole. Watch how patient he is. There doesn't look like there's anything right there. Where is it? Then he hesitates, the cutback, looks for daylight, and then, Dan, as you said earlier, at 230 pounds, he gets vertical north and south.
Brought up in San Diego, California. Free agent signee from Tennessee, and everybody passed on him. And here he is, a Pro Bowler in his 4th year with the Houston Texans, as Dan Skuda just came into the game from Mauluga, makes the stop. Foster kind of has that drifting Marcus Allen kind of effortless moves for a big guy.
Marcus Allen, that's kind of interesting. Marcus Allen was like that. Marcus Allen, I played against Marcus. I always thought he flowed. He had a beautiful flow to his stride. There goes Mauluga. They're going to go in and take a look at him inside. But I think most importantly, Foster's already got 13 carries in the first half. When they're winning, when they're 11-1, he's touching the ball 25 times.
Foster's got 79 yards already. Ben Tate in the game to give him a spell, and Schaub thought about running, but he dumps it off to Daniels, short of the first down.
Yeah, I think Schaub wanted the double move to Andre Johnson, but it was covered deep. Did a good job just checking it down. Johnson's caught, I believe, one ball, deep curl route. They haven't been able to get the ball down the field. Cincinnati's played a lot of zone, which is why they've thrown the ball underneath.
How about both superstar wide receivers, Andre Johnson and A.J. Green, pretty much non-existent?
Well, it's called respect.
3rd and short. Foster's got the first down.
It's like a choreographed dance routine when you watch a really good offensive line in a run scheme. There's Burfict limping a little bit. Watch them all, the linemen. They're going to all go 45-degree angles that way. It's choreographed, it's beautiful, and what's even better is you've got a tailback ideally suited for the system. You say Marcus Allen, I say Terrell Davis in his glory days at Denver, matching up that kind of style with the correct scheme.
There's the Houston Texans, very run-oriented, as you can see in the red zone. Again, just a couple of field goals they've had to settle for, so they're trying to get that 6 points. Foster pushed back. Gain of 1.
You can't settle for field goals here, okay? That's what we're talking. This is going to be a low-scoring game. Kubiak knows, how am I down 1 point here? Got to put it in the end zone. And you know, in this situation, Cincinnati's going to probably double number 80, Andre Johnson. No matter where he lines up, and right now, he's in the slot.
Ball just outside the 10 on 2nd and 9. Shot complete. Daniels close to the first down. That'll bring up 3rd down. Reggie Nelson, Dan Skuda in the coverage.
Remember, Scuta's in, the 4th-year player from Grand Valley State from Mauluga. That crossing route has been the majority of yardage in the pass game today. They're not letting them get anything deep. It's been all crossing routes and come up, rally, and tackle.
Mike Zimmer, the highly respected defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals.
I don't know why he's not a head coach in the National Football League. I just don't get it. There's nobody with a better resume. I get tired of people saying I want an offensive guy or a defensive guy. How about just get the right guy?
And how candid was Zimmer talking with us yesterday? He said, yeah, I'm a little frustrated. I haven't gotten a look. I haven't really gotten much attention. He said, not really a self-promoter type of guy, but a defensive coordinator every year in the league since the year 2000. And he just says, I would think that my resume and what the job I've done and the players I've coached would speak for themselves. And it is that time of year where you have coaches and movement and positions available. Andy Reid, hired by the Chiefs after being let go by the Eagles. We got Lovie Smith and company, and here's a look at some other coaches who were let go. So,
you know, I get frustrated when we talk about only the head coaches because they're the guys making seven figures. It's the 15 assistant coaches and their families that aren't sure where their kids are going to go to school next year that don't make that kind of money that I worry about.
And also drawing other attention is the offensive coordinator, Jay Gruden, for the Bengals. 3rd down and 2 to the end zone, incomplete. Andre Johnson was the intended receiver for Schaub. It'll bring up 4th and 2 and another field goal attempt likely for Houston.
Watch him get physical with Pac-Man Jones. That's a great job by a 228-pound receiver. I know it wasn't ideally thrown, but I think Andre Johnson catches that 9 out of 10 times. Matt Schaub does too. You don't get opportunities like that in the NFL in a playoff game very often. You got to execute.
And in a microcosm, that is what has plagued the Texans. Penalties, all the things, fundamental, drop passes. Even for guys, Pro Bowlers like Andre Johnson, 22-yard field goal attempt, the 3rd of the game for Shane Graham. Pulls the Texans ahead again, 9-7, but again, they've had to settle for field goals here in Houston. January 27th, don't miss the NFL's best, live from Hawaii. 2013 NFL Pro Bowl presented by McDonald's, Sunday, January 27th on NBC. And there are some of the Pro Bowl selections for the Bengals and the Texans. Houston with a total of 8 headed to Hawaii. Atkins and Green for the Bengals. There's Matt Schaub, Pro Bowler in his own right. But again, Houston settling for 3 field goals, 9-7 lead here. And Jones up to about the 29-yard line. As NBC's Wild Card Playoff is brought to you by Verizon. Share the holidays with a shared everything plan. By Cadillac, the standard of the world. By Pepsi, welcome Beyonce to the stage. And by Samsung Galaxy Note 2, the next big thing is here. Big thing here in Texas. The Hillison Saddle Company there. As 1st and 10 now for the Bengals and Andy Dalton. Some pressure flushed out, and Dalton slides his way to a 1st down as we approach the 2-minute gain of 13. So maybe the Bengals can get something going here before the half. 2-minute warning in Houston. So we got a halftime show coming up. Dan Tony Rodney break down the first half. Adrian Peterson talks about his great season and the Vikings in the playoffs. Bob, Chris, and Hines have the latest from Green Bay as well. That's coming up at halftime. So here are the Bengals at the 40. With 2 minutes left in the opening half. Dalton across the middle, incomplete. And we're in a very similar situation as last year's wild card game. If you remember, it was late in the first half. Score was tied at 10, 9-7 here. And this is when J.J. Watt made his national leap onto the stage. And an incredible interception of Dalton just grasped it right out of midair. Stuns the Bengals and Dalton. And when we talked to the Texans last night, all of them were saying what a crucial play that was, and the Bengals on the other side of things saying what a crushing blow that was. And J.J. Watt hasn't really stopped since producing highlights like that. Dalton, who's having a dismal first half through the air, finally gets one there to Marvin Jones for the first down, and a gain of 11 with 1:51 left.
Yeah, I like the timing of that throw right there by Dalton. I asked Watt on the field before the game about the play last year. He said, Mike, it's just kind of instincts. I just threw my hands up, and the instinct was to catch it. The guy's freakish, that's all I know.
By the way, as Brian Leonard gets his first carry of the game, this is the first time the Bengals have crossed midfield. But again, still only trail 9-7 because the Texans can't get it in the end zone.
Brian Leonard in the game. He's their third down back. Good pass protection and catches the football well.
2nd and 8. Bengals with all 3 of the timeouts left. That is incomplete. Marvin Jones, the intended receiver. Kareem Jackson on the coverage.
Kareem Jackson was very physical here in press man. Hands on him. You can make an argument it might have been more than 5 yards off the ball. But that's very physical at the point, and he did not have any help over the top.
Jackson, former first-round pick out of Alabama. 4 interceptions on the year, led the team. 3rd and 8 now for Dalton.
A.J. Green not involved at all in the first half. Jonathan Joseph, his former teammate, lined up with him.
Amazing that Green has not been a factor. That one intended for Gresham, juggled around, incomplete.
And again, it's Clover Quinn running underneath the route in the dime package, number 29. Former corner, does a nice job undercutting it. The ball's almost intercepted after the tip by Gresham, right in Manning's hands. Those are the plays you don't make sometimes.
So just when you think Cincinnati might be able to drive their catch at the 11-yard line. 1:10 left in the opening half. Houston up 9-7. Beautiful skyline of downtown Houston on an unseasonably chilly day for these parts. Inside Reliance Stadium, Texans clinging to a 9-7. Again, like we said at the top, Mike, low-scoring defensive struggle as Houston is at its own 11 with just over a minute left. Foster with the carry. Be pretty conservative here and going to the locker room ahead by 2.
That's the kind of game it is, and Foster's been dominant so far. The way he cuts, his patience, his vision. I love watching this guy play because he innately understands when and where to move. Watch the cut in the open field against Maluga. Doesn't even touch him. Then a little more circuitous route right here. The cut off the left foot, the right foot up the field. Even though he often cuts left or right, at the end of the day, it's mostly vertical.
Some pretty good company there. Most career yards from scrimmage per game. Active players minimum of 50. Peterson, Johnson, and Rice behind Arian Foster's average of better than 118 a game. Again, he had 153 yards on the ground last year in the win. Went over 100 yards again in the second playoff game, the loss to Baltimore, and he's off on his way to another good game here as Owen Daniels holds on. Terrence Newman on the coverage. Daniels.
And what that did was he guaranteed that Cincinnati couldn't stop the clock and get the football back if Houston wants that to happen.
The Bengals called a timeout to stop the clock just previously. So a 1st and 10 now for the Texans. Ball at the 21. As you look at Marvin Lewis, 79 wins for the Cincinnati Bengals. That is the most in the franchise's history. But again, the Bengals looking for their first playoff win in 22 years, and Lewis looking for his first playoff win in his career. This is another first down, and Andre Johnson, who's been very quiet, has a gain of 11 there, and Schaub with a timeout stops the clock, or does it? Yeah, 47. It ran a couple of ticks there, but Houston with a 9-7 lead. As Matt Schaub and company here trying to, I guess, save the season here, Mike. So many disgruntled fans here in Houston.
Thank you.
So you can really alleviate a lot of fan apprehensiveness with a win here today. Hasn't been pretty. They're only up 9-7, and the inability to get in the end zone a concern, I would say.
Inability for either offense to convert big plays, and I think both defenses are playing off. They're not allowing anything deep, and obviously the only big play of the game, the defense of Cincinnati.
Schaub is flushed out and just throws it away. That'll set up second down. Carlos Dunlap was in there providing the pressure on Schaub.
Now that one interception, they rushed 4, dropped 7. He threw the ball late. Leon Hall, who was playing flat defender in his zone, undercut it, and all of a sudden, Cincinnati Bengals, who couldn't do anything offensively, had 7 points on the board.
Hall with his 3rd interception, and they've all been big this year for Cincinnati. The big one against Pittsburgh, and then the game turner versus Philadelphia the week before. He's provided the only touchdown of the day. Foster is nailed.
Perfect.
By your man, Montez Perfect.
And then Perfect wasn't real happy with me prior to the draft either. I was one of the guys that said he was non-draftable.
But you said he was non-draftable not because of character reasons or anything like that. It is just what you saw on tape of Perfect.
Well, he flashed once or twice a game, made a big play, but for the majority of every game, I thought he was out of shape. I thought he threw himself at the feet of lead blockers. I didn't think he finished plays, and everything he didn't do a year ago, he's doing superbly now. And I give Marvin, Mike Zimmer, and Paul Gunther the credit, along with the kid himself.
And for those of you who don't know what Mike Mayock will be doing following the final gun of this game, you'll be going over the next draft and prospects, and Perfect was one of those guys a few years back that coaches said was a little out of shape as well. And on 3rd and 9, 40 seconds left in the half. If the Texans have something going here, wobbly pass is complete into Bengals territory to Owen Daniels, and Schaub is hurrying him up to the line of scrimmage after a gain of 19.
He was working on Nate Clements, and Schaub's got to get it up there. Clock it,
Yep, stops it with 24 seconds left. It wasn't pretty, but it's a completion.
Yeah, it was funky. Nate Clements is trailing him. Good move by Daniels. Wide open, ball thrown behind him. Excellent hands catch. How that ball hung up there. Reggie Nelson was anticipating it to be a better thrown ball, so it actually worked against Reggie Nelson that it was poorly thrown.
Daniels, the other option besides Johnson for Schaub, 7 catches, 73 yards for Daniels.
And keep in mind, Chris Crocker, I think, is the best communicator in that secondary, is missing this game because of the hamstring.
Clements getting a start for him. Schaub's got another completion to Kevin Walter, and it was a solid tackle by Newman.
34-year-old Terrence Newman. I thought he's played extremely well, paired opposite Leon Hall.
Texans hurry it up. Clock stopped 9 seconds on 3rd and 4.
Going to get some pressure from the left side. Schaub gets rid of the football, and there's the tackle, and he keeps it inbounds. Now let's talk about the situation. Ball's on the 41-yard line, right? Now, the place kicker here, Shane Graham, under 40 yards, he's 20 for 20 this year. Over 40 yards, 11 for 18. You still need to pick some yardage up here to give him a chance and get out of bounds.
Yeah, that 45-yard window and above, Graham not near as accurate as he is from 45 and closer. Good job. Ball incomplete, and another solid break up there by Adam Jones.
Yeah, Cincinnati knew that Houston didn't have any timeouts, and the ball had to be thrown at the sideline. Adam Jones jumped the route. Excellent job.
So the ball at the 41 with 4 seconds left. 9-7 lead for Schaub at his first playoff appearance as Dalton and the Bengals step onto the field with just a few ticks left. Big presence as expected by J.J. Watt. But again, on the Bengals side of things, as Dalton will take a knee to end the first half, A.J. Green, their great receiver, not a single reception for Marlon Lewis and the Cincinnati Bengals as they go to the locker room. Coming up next is the Toyota halftime show, but first these messages from your local NBC station.